This is my angry face because I read comments on YouTube on this channel saying that grammar is a waste of time and that we don't need grammar to learn English. And it makes me angry. And it's wrong. You do. Two good reasons to learn grammar. One, it'll make it much easier to improve your English or another language. Secondly, it's interesting in its own right. Can you learn English without studying grammar? Yes, but it's going to take you a whole lot longer. Think of a room filled with donuts, but it's locked and you're on the outside. How to gain entry to the room? You could grab an axe and smash the door down, but think of grammar as the key that unlocks the door to fluency. This is the easy way to gain entry. There is sometimes a misapprehension. When I say you need to learn grammar, perhaps you imagine a school where students sit around doing boring grammar exercises from a boring grammar book, never speaking, never engaging in conversation, just blindly scratching answers into a workbook. Nya, 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 nya. Those schools are terrible. I should know. I've taught in them and learnt in them, or rather tried to learn in them. Let me tell you that our school, let them talk. In Paris, we have no textbooks, no written exercises, and the lessons are 100% spoken. Is there grammar? Yes, there is, but it's always in the context of a conversation. If you're learning English, you want a teacher to correct your mistakes and explain the grammar, so you don't make those mistakes again and again and again. In addition to the grammar, at our school you learn some new ways of expressing yourself that you'd never thought of that will give your level a boost. The problem is not the grammar, it's that it's often taught in a way that is tedious, dull and monotonous. Grammar is only one element of learning a language. You need to speak, to listen, to read and to write. But the glue that binds these elements together is the grammar. It's the bedrock of the language, and all communication skills flow from there. Don't neglect it. A good understanding will speed up your learning considerably. Become a grammarian. Why would you go to a language school if not to learn the grammar? In the context of good conversation, of course. If you just want to chat in English, you don't need to go to a school for that. There are lots of groups, I'm sure, in your area or online where you can do that. If you're on lockdown, online probably. You can read at home. You can watch series on your favourite streaming platforms at home. No need to go to a school for that. And English teachers, what the hell do they do? Your lovely, charming and friendly English teacher, like me. Actually, his or her job is most of all just to teach grammar. Let me explain. There was an English teacher. Let's call her Sharon. And there was an English guy you met in a pub. Let's call him Steve. Okay? He's not an English teacher, but if you buy him a beer, he will help you with your English. One day, you want to know different ways of saying, "That's great." You ask English Steve, you buy him a beer, and he says, "Yes, I can help you." You can say, "You're amazing, you're wonderful, you're brilliant, you're incredible." And he'd be right. Okay, you ask Sharon, she'd say exactly the same thing. 50 in all. You ask English Steve to correct your pronunciation, and he does. He says to you, no, it's not "I'm hungry," it's "I'm hungry," and he'd be right. Sharon would say the same thing. 30 all. You ask English Steve to talk about air travel because you want to know about the vocabulary, so he does, and you learn new words, new expressions, journey, voyage, not voyage, voyage, globetrotter, take off, land, stopover. You don't need an English teacher for that. Sharon would say exactly the same thing. Juice. Then you ask Steve, When do I say I was working? And when you say I had been working, what's the difference? And he can't explain. So you ask Sharon, and yes, Sharon can explain it. Past perfect continuous. We have a video on that. You ask Steve, why do you say he speaks well, but it sounds good? Steve can't explain, but Sharon can. You ask, why do you say it's time we went home? Why are you using a past tense when you're talking about the future? Why? Why, Steve? Steve can't answer, but Sharon can. Game, set and match to Sharon. Video on that one coming up, by the way. Grammar speeds up your learning. So yes, be careful about courses that offer to teach you a language without any grammar. You might want to go elsewhere. Learn the grammar. Become a grammarian. If a teacher or an online platform tells you that they will teach you a language to a proficient level without any grammar, don't waste your money. Go elsewhere. Learning a language is a long and arduous journey, but ultimately a rewarding one. Don't listen to those who offer shortcuts with minimal effort. Fun fact, it's not possible. They are selling snake oil. They'll end up wasting your time and it'll cost you a lot more in the long run. Recently, I had a student who had a good level of English, but even though she had been speaking for many years, she kept making the same mistakes. One of the mistakes she made was with the verb suggest. She said, for example, I don't like my job and my friend suggested me to get a new job. Logical mistake. Many verbs follow this pattern, but it's wrong. For example, my friend asked me to give her an ice cream. The verb ask follows that pattern, but not suggest. It's different. Fortunately, I explained the grammar and she got it immediately, which is, in case you're interested, suggest can be followed by a verb with ing. He suggested getting a job. That's okay. But when you put the pronoun after suggest, it must be the subject pronoun followed by the subjunctive, which is the infinitive without to. That, by the way, is optional after suggest. He suggested that I get a new job. I got her to give some more examples. I suggest that we go to the pub. He's putting on a lot of weight, so I suggested he go on a diet. Not goes, because it's the infinitive without to. This is a subjunctive. I gave her the other verbs that take the same structure, okay, and we had a real conversation in a situation where we could use the newly learnt grammar. Within a couple of hours, I was able to correct many mistakes that she'd been making for years. She got it. She was smart and she understood grammar. She was a grammarian. Become a grammarian. If she hadn't come to the lesson, would she have eventually learned this grammar just from listening and speaking? Well, perhaps she would, but it would have taken a lot longer. Why smash the door down to get to the donuts when you have the key? I'll show you it again. The key. Grammar is the key. And honestly, I've met people who... You hear that? That's what happens when you don't study the grammar. I've met people who've learnt English just by speaking. Many have lived in the UK for several years and they proudly announce that they've never studied any grammar. But most of the time, you can hear the mistakes. These are the same people who write in the comments section that grammar is a waste of time. They speak fine for everyday conversation, for chatting amongst friends, but for anything deeper, such as in a professional context or for writing, they write poorly and their spoken English could be better. An understanding of grammar is also a transferable skill. Once you know all the terms in one language, you can easily apply it to another language that you are learning. It may even help you gain insights into your own language. You know, I never really understood English grammar until I became an English teacher, because in England we don't learn grammar at school. And it's really amazing to be able to deconstruct a sentence, a page in your own language. Another thing I often hear is children don't learn grammar and they speak like native speakers. That's true. But do you want to speak like that? After 5 years of learning morning, noon and night, a 5-year-old child's conversation is mostly limited to, Mama, I want to go to the pee-pee room. You can do better than that, much better than the 5-year-old child. Do you want to discuss the burning issues of the day with grace and levity? Learn the grammar. Do you want to seduce your entourage with your wit and wisdom? Learn the grammar. Do you want to add a subtlety and nuance to your expression? Learn the grammar. A knowledge of grammar is like a superpower. It will supercharge your learning. Why would you not want to do that? You know, I feel so strongly about this that I even printed a t-shirt. Here it is. Available at our merch store on this channel, by the way. You might think that this video is simply a thinly veiled ploy to get you to purchase one of these rather chic and yet reasonably priced items of summer apparel. Well, no, that's certainly not the case. Learning through just talking and listening is good. It works to a degree, but if you want to achieve a deeper understanding of how it all works and get to fluency quicker, then you know what to do. Now stop whining and learn the grammar. Are you a grammarian? Leave a comment. My deepest respect.